Well, in the moments after the worst of the storm, churches all around our area sprang into action to try to meet immediate needs. And at the lead in that effort was Noah Taylor and the Evergreen Baptist Church in Erwin, Tennessee. Noah, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here and talk to you about what's going on over here.
And it has been going on right from the start. I'd love to go back to that Friday morning when we all were expecting that there was going to be a storm, but I don't think any of us had any clue what was coming. Tell me about the chain of events and how you began to respond, not only just as an individual, but as a congregation.
Yeah, so Friday morning, I came into the church like any other Friday morning. We have a couple other staff members that are here and work with us, and we actually, we decided let's get in the car and go see if how the weather is doing. What's the river look like? Does it look like it's going to be a problem? And so we got in our car together and we rode around some of the areas that are in our county that where the river is and areas that would most likely be affected. And that was at 8:30 in the morning or so. And obviously the river was up a lot and there was but at that time it still to me wasn't alarming. I mean, we drove by the right by the hospital. We drove along Highway 81 along what they call River Road, and it certainly was up, and we could tell that it was taking on a lot of water. But at that time, I mean, none of us ever really dreamed it was going to do what it did. I mean, and so we looked around. We went back to our office to finish the workday, um, and we just started getting a couple hours later. We just started getting text messages about um, some of these same locations, and we started hearing about the hospital, which is just about half a mile from our church, and so again, we said, well, let's go see what's going on. And man, by this time, just in a couple of hours, it was mass pandemonium. I mean, um, so of course, throughout the course of the day, it went from bad to worse. Of course, we found out people were missing. We found out people in our congregation had lost their homes, lost everything that they had, and we began to realize, I think, in that 24-hour period, that there were going to be some really serious needs that were going to be urgent and then also ongoing. And so on Saturday, we just kind of, I mean, as a pastor, I just kind of felt the weight of needing to do something, but not having any idea what to do. I've told people in seminary, I never had a class on how to respond to a natural disaster. And so I really didn't know. And so we had a worship service on Sunday. We had one kind of joint worship service, and we just really focused on a couple of things. Number one, praying for our community and all the communities that have been affected. I mean, there were just people that were grieving, and then also, in addition, to try to discern as a congregation what can we do. I didn't really have an answer to that at that time, but so after church, we went out in the parking lot. Everybody's kind of spending time together. It was just kind of good to be together at that point and see people were safe. And a truck pulled up from Sweetwater, Tennessee, that had a trailer and it was full of water. And this man, he owned a construction business and he just went and bought a bunch of bottled water. And he says, I feel like you guys are going to need water and I just need somewhere to put it. He said, I don't, I drove over. I'd like to know. And so our guys, I said, look, we'll put it in our gym and we'll get it to people who need it. And so we unloaded it. It was probably, I don't know, 125 cases of water. And we put it in our gym. And it's like word began to spread that Evergreen will take donations and help distribute them to people who are in need. And really, it started at 12:30. And by that evening, we had a semi trailer in our truck dropping off goods. And it's never stopped since that point. It has never stopped around the clock since that point. It's been nonstop. And now we've tried to be more of a resource in other areas like connecting volunteers with projects, collecting financial donations to help people rebuild. Of course, a lot of people didn't have flood insurance, and they didn't only lose their homes, they lost the contents of their homes. And so we've been collecting donations, and I was at a house today that we've got volunteers there putting the house back together, buying material, and so it's really been in a lot of ways exhausting, but also in a lot of ways very exciting to just be a part of helping people at their greatest need, and identifying people that have real needs that they just don't know how they're going to meet, and then being able to meet those needs. And so, and we've had donations come in from all over the Northeast, the Southeast. I mean, someone just left here a few minutes ago that was from Mississippi. We've had people from Michigan, Pennsylvania, New York State. We had a guy that wanted to volunteer that's on the way here. He's from Washington State that is driving here with chainsaws, and he just wants to help. And so we're helping as a church coordinate some of that. I mean, really, we've been overwhelmed in a way it's almost unmanageable, but we're every day, chipping away at it and trying to be a resource. And so, and we're glad to do that. We really are.
It's fascinating for me to hear you tell the backstory of how that happened, that essentially you all are wanting to help, prayerfully asking, how can we help? You go out in the parking lot and a truck pulls in, and the rest is history. I
Yeah.
first heard about your congregation, I think it was in some sort of a statement from the county EMA, I believe, that had, and this was not that long after the storm, had designated your church as I guess, a destination for donated items. So I imagine at some point the county, you began to interface with government folks to try to coordinate it. Is that what happened
Yeah.
next?
Yeah. So we started really with no promotion of this. We just started collecting items that people brought in. And so once people found out that we would take those donations, organize them, and then distribute them the best we could, and that we kind of just became the place to do that. And so the county reached out and asked if we would mind if they designated us as the place that when people wanted to bring goods into our county, and we distribute to other locations like ours where people can go and get goods like if they need water or clothing or generators or cords or glove, I mean, non-perishable foods, all kinds of items like that. And so we kind of work with other partner churches that are distributing these items as well. But the bulk of the items all come in here. We organize them, process them, and then send them out to places that need it. And so the county, kind of identified as that. And we had the volunteer manpower. I mean, our volunteers have been unbelievable. I mean, so many people have been here all day, every day, unpaid. They just want to help their community, and we've had volunteers from other places come in and help as well. And so it's just honestly, it's made me so thankful for where we live and the people that are here. I think East Tennessee is. I'm not from East Tennessee originally, but I mean, I would say it's such a unique place to live. And it's just been incredible to see these people come. And we've had people volunteering that have lost their home. I mean, they have no home and they're here volunteering, trying to gather food for other people. And so it's just been great. And we've worked together with other organizations and partner churches, and of course our city and county, to try to do what we certainly couldn't do on our own. As a church, we really exist to minister to people and their needs. Of course, our goal is to be the hands and feet of Jesus where we are. And I felt there's never been a better opportunity to really do that in a tangible way as what we're doing right now. This month as a church on our calendar, we had planned a lot of outreach that we were going to do, and things that we were going to try to do to minister to our community. And of course, all that's been either canceled or postponed. But I feel, God gave us a much greater opportunity to minister in ways we could have never put on the calendar. We could have never been able to just meet the needs of people in the way that we have been able to, and meet the people and pray with people, and people, I think, are more sensitive to spiritual things when they're hurting. And someone told me one time that if you minister to hurting people, you'll never lack for an audience. And so it's just given us an opportunity to minister to people who are hurting. And I just think that's a great blessing for us to be able to do that. And I told our church congregation on Sunday, this has obviously disrupted our church calendar. It's displaced a lot of our church space. It's occupied now with goods for flood victims, and it's changed everything for right now of what we're doing, our focus and where our energy is placed. But we're just committed to it. We're committed. I mean, this is certainly a marathon and not a sprint. What's happening as far as the rebuilding? I mean, it is. You'd love to think that all this will be over in a few weeks, but that's just not a reality. And so we're partnering together with the people in our community to work as long as it takes and be as committed as we need to be. And we've had other people from all over make donations and help us do this financially, help us do this volunteer wise. And there's no way as a solo congregation we could accomplish what we're accomplishing. It's taken people from all over to help us, and but we're committed to continuing to do that. And we've created a site and are looking to put more personnel to help us handle the day-to-day influx of calls and requests and organizational stuff that it takes to accomplish this. It's fallen a lot on our church staff that have just been fielding calls and running stuff different places, and they're just going from early in the morning to late at night. But our site will help us streamline some of that and be more organized. And again, it's I feel like I've had a seminary level education in 10 days on all this stuff that I knew nothing about. But again, I credit a lot the volunteers and the people in our community and people from other communities that have helped, and it's just been energizing, all of that being a part of that.
You mentioned a site. Is that a website? And what would that be? And how
Yeah.
can people get a hold of you if they want to support? And how would they be? Let's do the first. How do they get a hold of you? Website and find you.
So our website is churchatevergreen.com, but specifically churchatevergreen.com/relief. On that particular page, you can do several things. People can give if they'd like to donate to what we're trying to accomplish. They can, if they'd like to volunteer and help specifically in our community, the Unicoi County community, or really surrounding counties, we may be able to help connect them with somebody who needs help.
Couple more quick questions. I think and we've not seen a disaster like this in Northeast Tennessee proper in recent memory. So I think this is new ground for everybody. But traditionally, when there is a disaster, there's hopefully federal help, and I think we're in that period now trying to figure out what that's going to look like. I'm being told it could take months and months and months for that to arrive. And so that's got me and others on the working assumption that for immediate needs to be met, it is going to take churches like yours, nonprofits in our community, local support for that immediate effort, that get that HVAC up and running, take that tree off that car. Am I on the right trail there? Do you agree that? Are you seeing
That's
that
that's
yourself?
exactly seems to be my perception. I like you. I think for a lot of people, it's unknown as to what help from the federal government is going to look like. Nobody really knows the answer to that, and it certainly seems that that's going to be um, several months down the road before anybody really benefits from any of that. But the reality is, people have needs today. I mean, they can't wait. They can't, they have no power or they have no heat or their house is flooded or their house is completely gone. I mean, we've worked to find housing for people that it's complex because different than a lot of hurricanes in Unicoi County, people's houses didn't flood, they washed away. And they didn't just wash away, so did their property. And so their property has become riverbed. And so it's not even like you can go back there and just build a house. Let's say that we had the funding to just build somebody a house. Well, they can't go back to where their house was. It's washed away. Their property's gone. They have no property or home. And so I think for the government, that's going to be a challenge. But it doesn't change the fact that these people have needs right now, today. And I certainly believe, obviously I believe this, but I think if there's ever been any doubt that the church was essential, we have found out in crisis like this, boy, the church is essential.
Noah Taylor, thank you. And thanks to your congregation for all that you all are doing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.